So I just read earlier this month that about 20 years of progress in the RAM market when it comes to pricing valuation has been completely wiped out. Think about it. A market that was in a downtrend for the last 20 years or so was basically reset in a span of about 8 to 10 months. This was posted by a computer science researcher on Twitter who stated that RAM on a per unit basis is about as expensive as it was in 2007. That's actually around the time that I got into the PC hardware world. Then we have a chairman from a company like AData who have a direct interest in selling as much RAM and storage as possible, stating that the shortage is going to last another 10 years at least. Insert Aaron Yeager meme. If you know, you know. But hey, a company that is selling storage and RAM is basically saying go out and buy as much RAM and storage as possible. We have to make as much money as possible during this whole situation and capitalize on your FOMO. It just doesn't end there, and we're going to go over a few other examples in a moment, all from a span of just from the last 2 weeks alone. But it begs the question, with how out of hand everything has gotten, where do we go from here? What's next for the future of PC hardware and PC gaming? How does this actually change the approach to my channel and so on? Hey, what is going on, guys? Danny here. Welcome back to the channel, and I hope you're all doing well. Finally got some time to just sit down and make a video where we discuss what's going on in the PC hardware and gaming industry, do a little bit of a market update, as well as talk to you guys about, where I've been, why I'm not uploading as frequently as I used to, am I quitting YouTube? Things of that nature. For those who have been following me regularly, yeah, you might have noticed that the activity on the channel has gone down quite a lot. I did upload a video last week where I did a performance test or benchmark of Gears of War E-Day, a game I was actually anticipating for quite some time, using my test bench that has a 9800X3D and the 9070XT. So if you're interested, feel free to check that video out. I think before that, the last time I actually uploaded something was back in mid-June. I think it was about the Steam Machine. So it's been almost 2 months since I had uploaded anything on the channel. And honestly, the last time I took a break like this on the channel was probably like 7 years ago. Now, if you don't know, I do also have a Twitter and an Instagram page. So during the moments where I'm not uploading, I'm still actually posting stuff on there, things about just, putting out my thoughts about whether that's PC gaming related stuff, hardware stuff, or really anything that just interests me. So if you just want to vibe and catch up with me, feel free to follow me on those pages. But I'm going to be blunt with you guys. My interest right now in the PC hardware space and just doing YouTube has been the lowest it's ever been. And the interest has just been deteriorating further over the past half year. I guess ever since this whole Rampocalypse situation started, and we saw how everything in the consumer electronics space started to go up in price. Manufacturers were cutting corners and, downgrading specs and really just not giving a shit about the general mass market because they're prioritizing the AI and data centers and large tech corporations where they know they can make the big buck on, at least for the time being, until this bubble pops, if that'll ever happen. But every day, or almost every day, I'll wake up and see my feed of hardware sites or my social media, and seeing all these tech outlets talking about how Nvidia is going to be raising GPU prices, and then the next day you literally see the same headline, but it's AMD doing the exact same thing. I mean, just take a look at the past week. There was an article about AMD prices going up considerably in a particular region. And then the next day, I wake up and see an article written about NVIDIA GPUs going up in prices as well. And just yesterday or 2 days ago, we saw a large partner of NVIDIA talk about how the entry level and the mainstream GPUs will experience a shortage as well. And it's going to be getting worse as time goes on for the remainder of 2026. So I looked at prices. It got me curious. And a 16 gigabyte RTX 5060 Ti is retailing for around $800 to $850 US, if not even more than that. And Newegg literally has 5070s listed for the exact same price. And you guys know that, the most sensible thing to do would be to buy the 5070, even though it has 4 gigabytes of less VRAM. The only reason why the 16 gigabyte 5060 Ti is sought after is because of the amount of memory chips it has. It has more, but doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be the better card. But I mean, on what planet should a mainstream 60 class card cost north of $800 or $1,000 Canadian? It's absolutely ludicrous. I think back to my time in 2017 when I had actually purchased the 1080 Ti, the flagship gaming GPU, for cheaper than what these 60 class GPUs are going for currently. And it absolutely boggles my mind because back then, that was the first time I'd ever purchased a flagship GPU, and I was like, "Holy shit, like, this is a lot of money to be spending on a gaming graphics card," but at least back then, you got an absolute banger of a product. The 1080 Ti is a legendary card, and, I got a lot out of it, and, I mean, even till this day, you still see people using that GPU. Now we're talking about forking over the same amount of money for a mainstream or an entry level card, a graphics card that has a 128-bit bus. What an absolute joke this industry has become. And you're still going to be getting a compromised experience, even at 1080p in some cases. Like, get the hell out of here with that noise. And if you're fortunate enough to be a high end buyer and you're looking at cards like the RTX 5080 models, they're actually going for around the MSRP of what 5090s should have been going for. 5070 Ti's are going for what 5080s should be selling for. And then unless you're just swimming in money, and good luck trying to buy an RTX 5090. I mean, good luck first finding one, because they're actually selling for around $5,000 to $6,000, if not even more than that, depending on what type of partner model it is. If it's one of those like special premium OC versions, right? SSD prices have absolutely been going crazy too, right? Back in 2024 and even for the most part of 2025, you could easily find a blazing fast Gen 4 1 TB NVMe SSD for like $80 to $100 US, or even less than that if it was on like a special deal. Now you're looking at $250, if not even more than that, and they're gradually going up. It's getting absolutely ridiculous. People have compared hardware PC parts to the stock market, and I mean, rightfully so, where you could have stocked up on a whole bunch of RAM and SSDs from a couple of years ago, and then now sold it off and made a shit ton of profit. It's gotten that bad. Oh, and for the console bros who are watching this thinking, yeah, we're good, we don't have to worry about any of this. Yeah, I mean, if you've been sleeping under a rock, then you probably noticed Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, all three of them have raised prices on their hardware as well, and there could be more price hikes coming as well in the near future. If you were thinking about buying a PS6, well, be prepared to pay at least $1,000 minimum for it, if not even more, depending on where this whole situation is going. Hence, then you have all these conspiracies, which I mean, at this point, can they even be considered conspiracies at this point? Because this is all some grand plan to make consumers forego the idea of hardware ownership and instead just stream off the cloud, off these data centers to a terminal or through an app on your smart television, which already does a bunch of data collection on you and sells it. And you have to pay a monthly subscription fee on top of that. And this is supposed to be the future where you're not owning anything, you're just constantly buying subscription fees. And yeah, it's this grand, big old dystopian future that we've entered into. And I made a separate video talking about this earlier in the year, about the implications a bit more in depth, what it means for you as an end user, and it's just not pretty. It's a pretty dark future. But I've actually made it pretty clear, and if it does come down to that, I would not partake in that kind of future at all. And let's say, I mean, God forbid, something happens to the hardware that I actually have on hand, and I had absolutely no hardware, and I had no funds to buy a new PC. I would rather go dumpster diving and find a old 10-year-old Raspberry Pi and run emulators on that shit and revisit old classics before I touch cloud streaming. I do not want to get into that at all. Unfortunately, though, doesn't end there. It's like all these corporations have established that they can spin this whole AI RAM craze however they want and actually start raising prices further on stuff that really has no relation to these shortages at all, simply because they just can and they just want to cash in on the whole FOMO and craze. And they're telling everyone that, yeah, shortages are going to happen, everything's going up in price. Before it does, make sure you buy right now. You have monitor manufacturers talking about how they're going to be raising prices. Motherboard manufacturers, these same partners of AMD and Nvidia, are talking about how since people aren't building as much PCs due to being deterred by the high RAM and storage prices, motherboards are actually not selling in high volume like they projected. So therefore, to compensate for the low volume of sales, they're just going to hike up prices and take advantage of those buyers who are still buying their motherboards. Yeah, we'll see how that pans out for you guys. Then you have Microsoft joining in the fray and asking for their piece of the pie, stating that they'll just be raising Windows OEM license prices because, well, fuck you, that's why. It's all just a facade. It's late stage corporate capitalism garbage, and honestly, I've grown pretty fucking tired of it. It's really ruined this industry for me and like the passion that I had for it. It's kind of, this corporate greed has infested into a hobby that just used to be about just having fun. That's simply what it comes down to. I could go on because I'm sure you guys watching have seen plenty of more examples in the last 2 to 3 weeks alone, but then this video would be going on for like an hour long. So, waking up daily and seeing all of this stuff, it just kind of really started to weigh on me. I wasn't really feeling motivated to make hardware focused content and make hardware news videos because it was just the same stuff over and over again. It was just really hard to genuinely get excited about it, where X company raises prices, Y company says shortages will continue, and then Z company says, better buy our products now before, the ship sails. When will the bubble burst? If it is even gonna burst. And I just got kind of burnt out at this point and I wasn't having fun with it anymore. That right there was key for me, the fun and excitement. I miss the days where, we could see leaks and rumors and just have fun speculating about it for a new series or a generation of products with technology that could further propel gaming performance further or just enhance our experience with newer tech. And sure, prices have been on the rise since like the RTX 20 series, you could say. It wasn't this bad to this extent. Yeah, sure, we had the crypto mining boom. That was horrible. But then when things died down, the graphics card prices came back down to earth, and then people could start building PCs again at a feasible price. We still had fun. It was exciting to look forward to things that weren't totally out of reach as they are now. And as things stand right now, it's really hard to get excited about anything. If I'm to be honest, I'm looking forward to Nova Lake, but remember, it's a new CPU architecture, which means a new platform requiring DDR5. And with DDR5 pricing just being absolutely crazy, it's preventing me from fully getting thrilled about it. What about the RTX 60 series? We know Nvidia is going to stagnate performance again, use software tricks and gimmicks to make it seem like the series is faster than it actually is. And then the pricing is going to be absolutely nuts. I wouldn't be surprised if the RTX 6090 is priced at like $4,000 or $5,000 out of the gate, and a 6080 is like $2,500. And 70 class cards start going for like $1,500 and $1,600 now, right? So at this point, it's becoming like a car market where it doesn't make sense to buy anything new. It's better to just buy offloaded older generation parts, but like even older generation parts are still holding their value. Like go try finding an RTX 4090. Those things are still absolutely insanely expensive. Seriously, is there really anything worth getting excited over when it comes to the 60 series? AMD, I really couldn't give a flying fuck about them at this point because Radeon is just all about following Nvidia. Intel, I mean, I wish, they could allocate more resources to their GPU front. I mean, I've been really impressed by what they're doing on the iGPU side of things. That's an area where I'm still kind of, passionate and interested about. So maybe I might do some more content based on that. But yeah, just kind of putting out there my thoughts on what the situation is about when it comes to like new hardware, new generation stuff. Getting pretty hard to get excited about it. And that's the other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. If so many people are going to be priced out of owning parts and being able to build a PC, I'm just not really interested in doing various hardware testing videos for the channel anymore. If people just aren't going to be interested in the content itself, and the comment section is just going to be turning into like a whining fest of people talking about how they can't actually get the parts. Everything is too expensive, and then not actually discussing results from the video or giving input on what they did for their testing or tweaking, right? And in some of the situations, in some of the videos, I've talked about like solutions, alternatives, and different areas of gaming you can tackle to attain that enjoyment and fulfillment from the hobby. But even then, people just choose to ignore it. They don't watch that kind of stuff, even though that's what they claim they want. And then again, it's just people complaining and whining about how they can't get a 5070 Ti anymore for like $750. It's like, sure, that sucks, but what can you do about that now? Like, how are you going to move past this? And then, what kind of solution can you find for yourself? What's an alternative that you can find for yourself? But it's like people just don't want to be helped when you can provide them with some solutions or suggestions. And it's like they want to just spend the time to just complain about prices. And that's actually more enjoyable for them to spend their free time. It's kind of weird. And I also think it's just not me facing this problem, but a lot of people who I've talked to in this space are going through the same thing too. Even larger channels. I've recently watched a Gamers Nexus video. For as big as they are, Steve even said that now it's their investigative and like their deep journalism videos that are now what's funding the revenue for the channel and funding hardware testing videos. Whereas, not too long ago, it was actually the reverse, where it was the hardware testing videos that funded the investigative or journalism videos. Why? Because people back then were actually interested in the hardware itself and the benchmarks, whereas now you have people more focused on like the drama content and the anti-corporate, anti-AI stuff. And I mean, I'm not saying that's wrong or anything. I see where people are coming from. I'm just pointing out that is what's resonating with people these days and what's being pushed in the whole algorithm and in the system. And I've made some videos covering a bunch of this stuff as well with the whole RAM ever since the whole RAM craze started. But honestly, it's not really content that I have fun with. So it's like I just haven't been making much of it lately. This goes into the next topic I just wanted to bring up as well, and that's what really is there to test nowadays. Over the past couple of years or last 3 years or so, I've taken various popular gaming components and tested them in various configurations. I've tested different RAM configurations, cores disabled, did some popular revisits of GPUs like 3080, the 2080. If not me, somebody else has maybe tested that certain topic. With that said, like I still have a few other topics and ideas that are kind of lingering about in my head, but I'm just not really kind of going out of my way to sit down and construct videos like this. Like I said, editing, recording, and doing benchmarks and doing a bunch of passes and making sure the results all line up and it makes sense. It takes a crap ton of time. And I mean, if no one's going to watch it, if it's not going to be pushed, then I really don't have much motivation to make that kind of content either. And honestly, for me, taking a step back from YouTube has actually been pretty positive because during that period whenever I was uploading very frequently, I realized that after taking a step back, that other aspects of my life had actually really diminished because you really only have so much time during one day, right? I'd finish my day job and then pivot towards doing testing for the channel, recording, editing, and then, there'd be days where I'd be up till like 3 or 4 a.m. working on stuff and finishing an upload and then only have to get up in like a few hours for my day job. It wasn't healthy and my health has actually diminished quite a bit. So taking a step back and allocating time towards focusing on my physical and mental health was really beneficial. I think by like the end of 2024, I'd really let myself go and you could literally see it on my face. My social life, it's become a lot more prominent now. It's fulfilling to be able to hang out and reconnect with friends and just have a good time and not have to be in like this whole go, go, go or like hustle mindset. I've been doing a bunch of traveling. Last month in July, I actually got the chance to take a trip to the Netherlands. Had an absolutely great time there. Awesome country. Highly recommend checking it out. Got to tour a whole bunch of cities as well. And, just having more time to actually game as well. Like, what's the point in investing myself in all of this hardware if the main thing for me, which was gaming, I can't actually do because of the lack of time? Now, I'm not saying, this is the end or I'm going to be quitting YouTube forever. YouTube will always remain a significant part of my life, whether that's creating or consuming content. But for me, for the time being, until circumstances change and I've got that spark again to get excited about hardware, I'm just not going to be uploading as frequently as I used to. And you may have noticed these over these past few months, I've actually kind of pivoted and started doing some gaming performance benchmark videos where it's just, me having fun and just doing a blind test of a new game that came out and just doing a performance test with the hardware that's currently plopped on the test bench, whatever it may be at the time. And I've just had more fun doing this. It's just way more chill content. And you'll probably see more of these as well. And it's actually kind of funny because this was the kind of content that I used to make a decade ago when I started this channel. And it was just more chill. And it's kind of funny going back to my roots and seeing things go back full circle. It's not like hardware focused content is completely out of the question. It's just, whenever I have a genuine interest for it, whenever I feel like I have the time to make that kind of video, I'll look into it and I'll make a video about it. But like I said, there's a few other major hardware releases on the horizon in some segments of the industry. I'm not going to sit here and hyperanalyze every single leak or rumor like we used to do. But, if there's some major stuff that comes out that I really feel like talking about, cool, I'll make a video about it. But as for now, just going to be kind of on that cruise control. Yeah, that'll do it for this one, you guys. Feel free to follow me on the other pages, and we'll touch base in the next video. Take care.
If you guys found this video to be informative and entertaining, then leave a like. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. Be sure to check out the video description for cool links and ways to support the channel, such as using my Amazon affiliate link. And if you're interested in seeing more content like this, then consider subscribing. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.